Welcome to this video on the basic database management language commands in SQL. In this video we're going to look at insert, update and delete. My name's Andy Wicks and we're going to be using the second-hand bookshop example that has been used in the other videos. First of all, I'm going to click on this database to make sure that that's the one selected. If you're working in a single database system, then you won't need to do this. We're going to go into the SQL tab and enter our first command. This is the insert into command. You've probably seen this before when you generated the data for your tables, but it's a good idea to go over exactly what it does and how it does it. First of all, it's insert into, and then the name of the table into which you want to insert something. You can only insert into one table at a time. That's then followed by the fields into which you want to insert something. So in our case, category ID and category. And that's followed by the things that we want to put into those fields. Null and campanology in this case. You must have the same number of fields as you have items in the values list. That's compulsory. But we're putting null into category ID. And category ID is an auto number. Surely we don't want that to be null. Well, if we put null in there, it will use the next auto number by itself. It knows what to do. So it will just take the next number it would see as being a valid category ID. We would then put campanology into the category field, and we would have our record. We could leave out the category ID entirely, in which case we'd have insert into bookshop category, category, values, campanology. And that would also work. Because category ID is auto number, we don't have to include it in our list of fields. I'm putting it here for the sake of clarity. So let's see what happens when we run this command. It's worked, and it's worked nicely. But let's just make sure of that. We'll go to the category table, and we'll go right down to the bottom. And as you can see, the final record now is campanology. Our command has worked. But let's move on now to the update command, and that has a couple of uses. Let me show you. First, we can update the value of a particular field in a particular record. So in this case, we're going to update the table bookshop category, and we're going to change the category to paleontology in any records that have the category set as campanology. So we're going to set category to paleontology where category equals campanology. So let's see if that works. Well, it says it did. Let's have a look. And if we scroll to the bottom, what was campanology is now paleontology. It's worked. Let me show you the other use of the update command. Again, we're going to go back to the SQL tab, but this time what we're going to do is to update every record in a table. So we're going to go to the table bookshop book, and we're going to increase the price of every book by 10%. Now, before I run this command, let me show you what the book table looks like. You can see the top price here is £87.81. So let's go back to the SQL and try our command. And it says all rows affected. So let's have a look at the book table. And that one record that was £87 is now 96. It's worked. The final command I want to show you is a little different. This is the delete command, and you'd imagine that you'd use this quite often, but hopefully you don't. You use the delete command when you're working on a database at the beginning and you're trying things out before you release it to the client. There you can delete records quite happily. But this will delete records permanently. You will not be able to get them back. So, if you want to delete something, you're going to affect the history of your database. And quite often you don't want to do that, and you certainly don't want to do it in a live system, because in a live system you want to see what your client has done. You don't want them to be able to mess around with you. So let's try this one out. You'll notice that it asks me, am I sure I want to delete? If I click on OK, it says it's worked. And now if I open the category table again, you'll see that paleontology has magically disappeared. However, the next record we add would have a category ID of 34, not 33. You might imagine that it would just add it to the last one there. But there's a central list that it keeps of what the last category ID was that it created. And the last one it created was 33. So the next one it creates will be 34. And you're thinking, oh, how do I get rid of that gap? Well, the whole point of these ID numbers is that except in some very special circumstances, the ID numbers will never be seen by the user. You might use the ID number if the user ID is being given to the user. So your user number 97, but other than that, users won't see these. So the fact that there's a gap will really not matter. Don't worry about trying to fill them in. It's not worth the effort and it's not good practice. So I hope that helps you out in this video. We've had a look at the insert command, the update command, and the please don't use this delete command. Thank you for watching.